Oh man, I can't believe that I'm having to use DLSS and frame generation on an RTX 4090 with a 7800X 3D at 3440 by 1440p. Oh my goodness. What's going on, guys? Today we're taking a look at the Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown demo that just dropped. I've been kind of looking forward to this game because I do like racing games, but I also used to play the older one on the Xbox 360. It's been a very long time. I do know that there was like a social component to it that's kind of interesting. I mean, there's definitely a room in the market for a game like this. But let's begin with the settings first. So we are using a 3440 by 1440 ultra-wide display, and we are using pretty high-end hardware here. RTX 4090 with a Ryzen 7800X 3D, right? So that's top-of-the-line PC hardware. We do have DLSS. Appear to have frame generation. It's DLSS, so no FSR frame generation, and we only have FSR2. But I've gone ahead and maxed all the graphical settings out just for the sake of checking the game out first, and then we'll go on from there. But there's a couple of things that stand out that I wanted to point out. Oh, the aliasing. Oh my god. That is really bad. Let me just skip this because I've already seen this part. But my goodness, we have all the settings maxed out, and I mean the graphics, they don't look great. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not good. But the aliasing is really, really bad. But maybe we can try some DLSS or FSR to improve that. But right away, I mean, panning the camera, this does not feel very smooth. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and throw the metrics on the screen because I've enabled all the CPU cores on my metrics because I wanted to see the CPU utilization because it is quite high, right? We're using a 7800X 3D here, and CPU use total goes up to like 60%, which is quite high. Now looking at each core, they seem to be fairly well saturated, although some are a bit higher than others. Not unusual with games. They're still more single core dependent still, but not that impressed. Every time I pan the camera, it just feels very jittery. To show you what I mean about the camera, I've recorded this footage at 120 FPS, and this is run at 100% speed. You can already see it in the frame time, that even though we're getting 100 FPS, the camera is jittery. It's kind of jarring. So we're going to slow the footage to 50% speed so you guys can see it on YouTube's 60 FPS video format, just how much it stands out, and it just doesn't look very good. Now I get it, it's a racing game. You're not going to be panning the camera around, really. It's going to be focused straight ahead. But it's still something that you do notice, even when you're racing to some extent. But anyway, let's move on because we got quite a bit more to cover. One positive thing about this game's graphical settings I will show you is that you can actually see the changes that you're making. That's a positive. So I found that if you turn DLSS on, if you look at the stairs here, it actually improves the aliasing quite a bit. So that's DLSS quality, and that's off. Quite a big difference, actually. Off. Actually, let's take a look at FSR while we're at it. FSR quality, so that does improve the aliasing as well, which is nice. Okay. But we're going to stick with DLSS. Aliasing is definitely much better. Let's go ahead and grab this Nissan here. We'll take it for a test drive. That's a shame, guys. I don't even know if these games get tested anymore. And I will say that this is a demo. This is not the final game. Okay, I'll be fair because I try to be fair. But getting only 80 FPS with a top-of-the-line PC like this is not very good. You know? We can't even max our GPU fully. We're dropping to the mid-90s of GPU usage. CPU use is quite heavy. So, I mean, driving is not too bad, I guess. It definitely could be smoother, but it's not too bad. Now, I'm concerned about people that have lower-end hardware because if the game is this taxing on a 7800X 3D, I can only imagine what it's probably like on, I don't know, older CPUs, which is what most people have. And the graphics, they look last gen at best. Now, I don't know about console. Maybe on console it runs better. I have a PS5. I might take a look at it there if there is a demo available. But I'm not impressed with the performance, guys. Not at all. But anyway, let's take a look at some DLSS and frame generation. See if we can maybe polish this experience a little. Now, this is something that's kind of interesting, right? So with DLSS off, we're getting 84 FPS, right? You go DLSS quality, it only goes up to like 92 FPS because now we've become CPU bound. So even if we go DLSS balance, it's still 92 FPS. DLSS performance, 92 FPS because we're CPU bound. I mean, obviously this makes sense. But another thing I actually noticed that's kind of strange is that right now we have DLSS off. When you turn DLSS on, it changes almost like it changes the ambient occlusion as well. Look at this store sign here where it says Taylor, right? I'm going to cycle off, on, off, on. It's like it does improve the aliasing, but it's not a great implementation either. Even if you look at these bricks here, that is very interesting. But let's go ahead and try putting DLSS on, right? We get 92 FPS, and let's try throwing frame generation on as well, because that's really the only thing you can do at this point. I still can't believe this, just how badly optimized this game actually is, man. But I have to say that with frame generation, oh my god, it does feel so much smoother. Way smoother with frame generation. I mean, obviously, turning frame generation on does help with smoothness and making the game more fluid, but it's helping more than I thought it would, because, you know, if this game had stuttering issues, that's going to be reflected on the generated frames, but this game has frame pacing issues, and it seems like frame generation definitely helps with that, because this feels a lot smoother than it did with just DLSS on or no DLSS on at all. However, I wanted to do a bit of an experiment so that we can examine it a bit closely, how much frame generation helps. Let's take a look. We've gone back to 100 FPS recorded footage here and slowed down to 50%. On the left, we have native resolution, middle we have DLSS, and on the right we have DLSS and frame generation. Now, one thing that stands out the most, native, is extremely flickery and aliased. So DLSS, I think, is a must, or FSR. They both do a much better job than native resolution does. And then with DLSS frame generation on the right, it definitely improves on the fluidity. The worst out of them all is the native side. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it actually is. It really is. Yeah, we're not gaining much FPS by turning on DLSS because, as I showed earlier, this game is extremely CPU heavy and we end up becoming CPU bound. And then frame generation is really the only way to gain more FPS, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know why this game is so CPU heavy, but it is. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. I think DLSS and frame generation is probably the better choice, but DLSS or FSR would work as well. But anyway, let's try a race and we'll wrap up the video. So I ended up actually getting the Alpine in blue and we're headed to our first race. So we do have a big city, big map here that we can participate in races. I'm going to try this one, a leisurely stroll. We finally arrived at our location. Let's begin the race. I don't know what type of race this is. Sounds kind of relaxing. Keeps loading for some reason. Race server error. Okay, that didn't work out. Let's go ahead and try that. Not sure what's happening. Maybe I have to reset the game or something. All right, let's try this one. Will this one work? I don't know. Now, is this going to be against other players? Oh yeah, it looks like it is. It's searching for participants. I wonder if it starts even if there's no players. Maybe it fills it with AI. Oh, there we go. So that's got to be AI, right? All right, here we go. Time to go. Race. I think this is AI. I think it is. Maybe. Adam? Yeah, I don't think anyone on Steam would have a name like just Adam. Yeah. Yeah, if there were people, real people, they probably would have smoked me by now. Oh man, I can't believe that I'm having to use DLSS and frame generation on an RTX 4090 with a 7800X 3D at 3440 by 1440p. Oh my goodness. And what do we have to show for it? Around 100 FPS. Oh my god. I don't know what the heck's going on with games these days. Like, I don't understand why this game is so CPU heavy. Are they mining Bitcoin in the background? Nacon, what are you doing? Oh my god. No, I'm not judging the contents of the game. This could end up being a fun game. I remember the older games were quite immersive. From what I remember, it's been a long time, but you know, you could like build your character, go to casinos, and sort of like live this life and with friends and people. This could turn out to be a very fun and interesting experience. I'm not taking that away. I guess that remains to be seen. But you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. But god damn it, man! Like, don't release these games that require like top of the line hardware to get 60 to 70 FPS. That's just not freaking cool. I'll be taking a look at my Radeon GPU though, and I'll check out the 5900X. You know what? And I might even check out the PlayStation 5, see if there's a demo available for that, and see how the performance is on the PlayStation 5. Maybe it's better over there. I don't know. It could be. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you going to try the demo? Oh, here's another thing. You actually have to create a Nacon account to link it with Steam to be able to play this game. I had to do it. There's no password, but it is what it is. Look at that, it's so cringe. Oh my god. I'm out of here. Holy shit.